Well, how many of you want to get into the Word of God? Okay. Good to see all the surrounding churches here this afternoon. And those of you that are watching online. Let's turn our Bibles over to the book of Mark. Mark chapter 1. And I want to speak briefly to you about something that we're facing in this time. 2020 has been an interesting year, as I said this morning. But 2020 has taught us something that it's something strange. It's not strange to the world, not strange to our governor or our mayors or anything like that, but it's strange to God in some way. And what they have taught us is that everywhere you go, even here I kind of see, and as you see the rows, is the world and society and CDC has taught us this social distancing. It's no longer these big hugs anymore. It's a fist pump. It's elbows. It's what's up. It's this mask that I don't know about you, but I hyperventilate with this mask. Anybody with me on this? Well, look at all these hands. Those are the ones that are not wearing it. And shame on you. But I mean, we've learned that where you go, it's like you have to social distance. It's like you got to be 6 feet apart. You have to stand a certain place in the market. They have directions that you have to go through now. Exit out only here. And what it's taught us is this. It's taught us this social distancing, where it literally has become a danger in our life. Because, and please don't get offended if you're watching online, and if you're watching online because you're sick, I get it, please. But what this social distancing has done, it has distanced us from the presence of God. It has distanced us of getting close to God. It has distance us of coming into the house of God, of worshiping Him in the house of the Lord. The presence of the Lord is in this place, and I know you can have the presence of the Lord in your living room, but it's not the same. Coming into the house of the Lord, and I do get it. Some have to stay home. Some folks, their immune system is a lot lower, and you have to be at home. I get it, but what it's taught us is that we have social distanced ourselves, where at first we were upset for not having indoor services. We were upset that we had to be 10 feet, 6 feet apart. But you know what it's taught us? We got accustomed to this social distancing. We got accustomed to where I don't have to tell my brothers and my sisters hi. I don't have to go and make altar call anymore. I don't have to go to church anymore. I can have church all day long by just scrolling through every church on YouTube. And what it has done, it has created a danger in our lives where the enemy can literally swift us under our feet. I'm a firm believer. If you want to get the full action of something, you better be there. Am I right? I mean, in LA right now, we're back to only drive-through and takeout. You can't eat outside anymore. And I'm a firm believer that you can't go through a drive-through and take your In-N-Out burger home, because by the time you get home, the fries are cold, the burger is cold. It's not the same. So when we go to the drive-thru, we literally got to park our car and eat somewhere right there in the parking lot. It tastes better, doesn't it? Am I right? I mean, you just can't go to a steakhouse and take your ribeye, tomahawk ribeye steak home. It doesn't taste the same when you take it home. You have to eat it there. Am I getting anybody hungry? I I say all that to say in the book of Mark, chapter 40, it said the man with leprosy came to him and begged him on his knees, "If you are willing, you can make me clean." Filled with compassion, Jesus reached out his hand and touched the man. "I am willing," he said, "be clean." Immediately, leprosy left him and he was cured. Jesus sent him away at once with a strong warning: "See that you do not tell this to anyone. Don't post this on your Instagram page. Do not put this on your Facebook page. Do not put it on your story, but go show yourself to the priests and offer the sacrifice that Moses commanded for your cleansing as a testimony to them." Instead, what did he do? He went to social media, he put it on his story, and he talked freely about it, spreading the news. And as a result, Jesus could no longer enter a town openly, but stayed outside in lonely places, yet the people still came to him from everywhere. I'd like to speak to you on the subject, danger in the distance. Here is a man with leprosy, a man that had leprosy for I don't know how many years. And whatever he had to do, this is the very first case that I believe of the COVID. This is a case of leprosy where he would have to stay his distance from people. He could not be around people, and the minute that he would be out in public in the crowd, he would have to shout, "Unclean, unclean." He would have to tell people that he had leprosy. And I begin to think about this story. There is a phrase in Christianity that we use today, the word grace. Thank God for God's grace. Can somebody say amen? Thank God that God had grace on your life. Thank God that God had grace on your soul. And to really understand God's grace and to understand it, you had to be jacked up from the floor up and understand that God changed you, delivered you. If you were someone bad, I need you to raise your hand in the air and let everybody know that you were messed up and tore up. And now you look at these hands that are raised. That is the grace of God that changed us, wiped away our sin, and came into our lives. That is grace. Grace, that's what I'm talking about. And when we begin to look at the book of Mark, what we see here is that this man with leprosy came to him. Interesting in this story, it doesn't say that Jesus went to him. It says the man with leprosy came to him. You see, I want you to understand that this man with leprosy has a name. But throughout the Gospels of the Bible, it never mentions the man's name. I've studied, I looked through it, I went from the book of Matthew, Luke, John, Mark, does not tell us who the man is. Doesn't tell us how tall he is. Doesn't tell us what color of eyes he had. Doesn't tell us if he was bald or had a lot of hair. It doesn't tell us anything about him. But the only thing that it tells us in the Bible is a man with leprosy. A man that had a label on him. A man that had a label. But Jesus knew that he just wasn't a man with the leprosy. He knew that he was a child, that God, his Father, created him. And I don't care what people call you. People may know you at a different name, but our Heavenly Father knows you by your first name, by your last name. He knows you, and that is the grace and the power of God. And what I want you to understand is that we're told nothing about his name, but all we're told about is his condition. Isn't that how we look at people in the church? We don't even know their name, but we judge them by their condition. Did you see who walked in? Did you see her? That was the one that messed up. That's the one right there. Did you see that guy? That's the one that cheated on his wife 10 times. That's him. That's the one. You see, thank God that we don't have a God in heaven that judges us by our mistakes. Thank God that we don't have a God in heaven that doesn't judge you of your last sin. One of the things that you did, when God looks at you, he looks at you and says, that's Danny, the man full of anger, messed up, tore up, but I changed him. He is a preacher. He is a gospel, truth-working preacher. And that's the way God looks at it. God doesn't look at you by your mistakes. And when you said a little while ago, God looks at you as a worshiper, a man who worships to the very fullest. Doesn't matter what you're doing or what people say. God looks at you and says, yes, I can't wait for him to get in heaven so he can be a worship leader here. See, that's the way that God looks at us. He looks at us not by your condition, but he looks at you by your potential and what your destiny is. Oh, God, I'm about to preach. Grace. It goes to show you that sometimes your identity can be consumed by your issues. The fact of the matter is, to this point, I want you to understand today, you may not even know who you are, but God knows who you are. And that's good. Because a lot of us in 2020, we don't know what we're up. We don't know what we're up against. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But know this today, that you're here and you're worshiping the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. It's like the story in the Bible when Moses met God. The fire was burning, the bush was burning, but did not consume the bush. It burned and it burned and it burned, and God spoke from the bush and he said, I want you to know who I am. He said, who are you? He said, I am. He said, Moses said, I am. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. But God knew who Moses was and what he was going to be. And I want you to understand, God knows exactly who you are and where your destination is going to be. When you look at this man with leprosy, this is a perfect picture of what we see in our society today. Here is a man today where we read and we study. Because if you begin to look at people with leprosy, a man who had leprosy, people who had leprosy, it goes all the way to the Old Testament in the book of Leviticus, chapter 13, verse 46. If you have leprosy, anyone with such a defiling disease must wear torn clothes. And I believe this is where the mask came in. You would have to wear a mask. Let their hair be unkempt, like some of us rolled out of bed because you're home and you're working from home and you're teaching your kids at home, school's at home, everything's at home. Cover the lower part of their faces and cry out, unclean, unclean. And watch what would happen next in verse 46. As long as they have this disease, they remain unclean. They must live alone. They must live outside the camp. And I'm here today to tell you that what this COVID disease has done, it has isolated some of us. It has isolated some of those in the church. It has isolated us. So because of fear, the enemy has put fear in our lives. We don't want to go to the market. We don't want to go to the mall. We don't even want to go to church because we're scared that someone might hug us and might have the disease. We're scared and we're fearful. But the greatest pain in this particular issue is not the physical. It's the emotional. It's the pain that has isolated us. And so many of us have isolated ourselves from God, and we don't even know what we want to do with ourselves. Isolation. And right now, we have isolated ourselves, we have distanced ourselves, and it's a danger because we're scared. I get it. This disease is real. I get it. It's fearful. Trust me, I carry hand sanitizer. Am I the only one? Thank you, Sister Brittany. Her head's about to come off. She's like, yeah, I do. I do. Low key, I'm like, wife. Shook someone's hand, I've never seen them before, I'm like, low key, bam. You all think I'm clapping, but I'm like, I learned all the moves. Am I right? Don't be trying to steal my moves either. I saw you putting it down there. That's a good one. This man with leprosy, who had no name, came to Jesus, who had a name above every name, which is Jesus Christ. This story tells us nothing about who his family was. And I want you to understand something, because it's very important to understand that. I studied this about the leprosy. I studied this about those that had leprosy. I studied this because I want you to understand that these people with leprosy couldn't go to church, but they would have to sit behind what we call today this clear shield. Everywhere you go, there's these clear shields. Am I right? Could you imagine building dividers in the churches? You may not see these clear dividers from row to row or from chair to chair, but I want you to understand, some of us have built them here. We have built a divider where, oh no, I'm not going to go to the altar. I'll make altar call right here. I'll just go ahead and serve Jesus right here. I'll go ahead and watch him online because I don't want to catch him. You see, at first it was like, who can tell me to stay home all day long? Who's going to tell me I'm not going to stay home? Oh no, 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 no. Now we got so comfortable, we don't even fit in our jeans anymore. We gotta wear spandex pants because we've been home too long. Ooh, man. Told you we're gonna have church. You would have to announce, unclean, unclean, unclean. I hope the mayor and the governor is not listening to this message, because I think that's exactly where we're going to go. COVID, COVID, COVID. Don't come around me. COVID, COVID, COVID. I mean, I think it's going to come to that. COVID, COVID, COVID. I mean, here, this is what leprosy had to do. Wherever he walked, wherever he was at, torn clothing, a mask, hair unkept, and he would have to go around, and when he would see people, he would have to yell, unclean, unclean. The rule today is what? 6 feet apart. Am I right? 6 feet apart. That's the rule. I mean, I'm not downing on it, because we had offering baskets like that too. I mean, to a point, like 6 feet offering baskets too. Right? If you studied the Word of God, 50 paces, 50 steps, that's what they would really have to do. So literally, if this leprosy man, when he sees Jesus at a distance, I don't know, I'm judging that this is about 50 steps. For me, with my short legs, it's probably 100 steps. But a man with leprosy, really, he had to keep his distance. And the Bible said, when I read you the verse, it said that the man with leprosy came to Jesus. Am I right? Yeah. Didn't say Jesus came to him. Here's the man with leprosy. The man with leprosy is lonely. He's been isolated. He can't go places. He can't go where everyone else is going. He has to keep his distance. And he hears about a man named Jesus. He hears about a man named Jesus, and wherever he would go, that Jesus would heal the sick, the blind would be able to see, the deaf would be able to hear, the lame would be able to walk. For this man that having leprosy, this man that having this disease, he's going to take a risk to be able to be free. I can imagine this man with leprosy being lonely at his home, being distraught. This man with leprosy not being able to communicate, can't touch anybody, because the moment that somebody would touch him, they would have this disease. The moment that he would touch somebody, they would get this disease. And this man here is confused, emotionally broken, messed up. It doesn't say how long he had it, but he had it long enough where he was sick and tired of being sick. He was sick and tired of having this chronic disease. Have you ever been so sick and tired of something in your life where you said, God, I need a second chance in my life? And the only reason that you're here today is because you got tired of your lifestyle. You got tired of the way that you used to live. And you came to church like this and made an altar call because you were tired of what you were. So this man with leprosy is confused. He's messed up, but he knows who Jesus is. He heard about Jesus. He wants some Jesus. He wants to be healed. And at a distance, he sees Jesus over there. He sees Jesus talking to people. And here he is with leprosy. People know, and he's breaking all of the rules. At this moment, since he should be saying unclean, unclean, but he's taking a risk here. He's taking a risk and saying, that's Jesus over there. And if I could just go ahead and come to Jesus, just maybe this is the day that I will be healed. Maybe this is the day that I can take this mask off. I can take off this and be able to be healed. But he had to take a risk. When was the last time that you took a risk for Jesus? When was the last time that you made a risk and told Jesus, if you can use me, then you can use me? Somebody needs to get excited here, because I'm about to preach something that's going to let you be free from all of your shame, all of your guilt. And I believe that this man with leprosy, he said, I got to stay 50 paces away, 50 steps away. But this man here with leprosy takes one step. That's one step closer than he was to Jesus. He looks around and says, ain't nobody seeing me now. Nobody's looking at me. Nobody told me that I took a step. I'm going to take another step. Where are my haters at? I'm getting a little bit more closer to my Jesus. I'm going to take another step to Jesus. Matter of fact, I'm going to take 2 quick ones to Jesus. Nobody's stopping me now. I see Jesus. I see a future. Jesus ain't scared of me. He knows who I am. He knows I got leprosy. He knows that Jesus is looking on the corner of his eye. I just rewrote the Gospel of Mark. I see Jesus looking on the corner of his eye saying, go ahead, shoot your best shot, leprosy man. Go ahead, go ahead. I dare you to come all the way to me. While this leprosy man said, okay, here I come. Another step, another step. He's looking at other people. Ain't nobody stopping him. Ain't nobody trying to stop him. He already was over there. He's a little bit more closer to Jesus than he was over there. I'm going to keep on walking. I'm going to keep on walking to Jesus. Oh, nobody has stopped me now. I'm not even going to say it. I already broke the rules. I'm not going to say unclean, unclean. Here I am again. Nobody has stopped me. I'm I'm still walking. I feel a healing coming to me. I feel Jesus going to cleanse me. I feel him. I feel him. I feel him. I feel him. I'm going to take 2 more quick steps. I'm halfway there. I'm halfway there. I'm in the middle. There's no turning back. Because if I turn back, I'm in the same distance that I am to my healing. So why go that way? I might as well just go this way. And I'm going to keep on coming to Jesus. I'm a little bit more closer. I'm going to come to him. Here I am, Jesus. Don't walk away from me now, Jesus. Here I come, Jesus. Oh man, I bet you that his steps got a little bit more quicker. No, they were getting a little bit more quicker. And he looked around. Nobody's stopping him. So I ain't going to stop. And here he comes to Jesus. And he bows to Jesus. And he says, Jesus, heal me. Oh God. Heal me. Heal me, Jesus. Heal me. I'm tired. I've been distancing. I've been social distancing myself from you, Jesus. And I'm done. I can't stay home no more. I'm done watching TV. I'm done watching every YouTube channel of church just trying to find the healing. Jesus, I had to get out of my house and walk to you. The Bible says that Jesus touched him. You got 2 savage people. 2 rule breakers. When you get 2 rule breakers together, you all better watch out. Jesus knew, I'm going all out on this one. Because Jesus knows what leprosy could do. Because the moment that Jesus touches the man with leprosy, Jesus knows that he could heal him or he could be affected by this disease. Jesus took a risk. He looked at the man. He saw the urgency that this leprosy wanted. This wasn't just a fake kumbaya altar. It wasn't just some fake grace card, get me free from this, Jesus. He knew that this man wanted to be healed forever. He knew that he wanted to change forever. He knew that he no longer wanted to be in isolation anymore. He knew that this distancing was just too much for him. And immediately Jesus touched him, and Jesus immediately healed the man. Jesus knew he broke every rule. Because Jesus told him, you're healed. But I better not catch you on your Facebook. Better not catch you on Instagram. Don't even post this on your story. Because if you do, things are about to happen. With full of anger, it says that Jesus was upset. I never really got that, because was he angry that this man was sick for a very long time? Or was he angry that he knew he was going to go and disobey what Jesus told him? I really believe that Jesus was not angry at his shame, his guilt, and what he was. I think he was angry at the end, and he knew what was about to take place, because this guy did not stay quiet. Straight up went to his stories. selfies galore. He did. It was like, stories. You know those people that post stories like it's like 1001, like you thought you were done creeping on them, and it kept going and going and going and going and going. You're like, oh, get out of here. He was done hiding. He was done. He started over there to find Jesus. He was tired. And all day long, you hide. You may not hide from a plexiglass. You may not hide. But you know how we hide today? We hide behind this. We only post what we want people to see, what's good in our lives. I dare you just to post everything that went wrong in your day. Bad hair day. Wrong color of shoes, wrong color of socks. What does this man do? He goes and tells everyone. And Jesus can no longer go inside. But Jesus didn't stop there. He stood outside where the man with leprosy was at. It's amazing to me that Jesus started over there, and now Jesus is at a place where the man, do you get this? I need you to picture this with me. The man with leprosy started here, and the man that we worshiped started over there. Do you see where I'm going with this? Jesus traded places with the man with leprosy. Jesus is no longer on the inside, he's on the outside. The man that was on the outside is in the inside. But Jesus knew today that he didn't care if he was on the outside, because he's Jesus. He's the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. If you're not going to let me in, well then, baby, go ahead and bring everybody else. And what does the Word of God says? They all came running to him. And now Jesus is performing miracles on the outside. Doesn't that sound like us during 2020? If you can't let us worship indoors, then we're going to go outdoors. And if we can't worship God on the inside, well then let us worship God in a tent. Jesus will heal you anywhere. The presence of God will be anywhere. Go ahead and take me out of my church. Kick me out where you want me to be. But I will worship him at a park. I will worship him at a parking lot. I will worship him wherever, because wherever the presence of the Lord is, that's where I will be. Somebody give God a big shout of praise and glory to the Lamb of God. We praise you, God. He wanted intimacy. Intimacy. That's what he wanted, this man. He just wanted to be touched again. When was the last time that you begged God for a touch from him? I'll just worship him. last time you just didn't care? When was the last time you just sobbed and didn't care if your mascara got all messed up? When was the last time you just cried, you just sobbed, and everything just came out? You're like, well, I'm gonna hyperventilate in my mask. This man was contagious. He was very contagious. I mean, you can't even sneeze in a market because you're like, oh God. I don't know what it is. I don't sneeze at home. I don't sneeze in the car. Ask my wife. The moment I get to Costco or Target, I gotta sneeze. I don't get it. It's like, she's like, what's wrong with you? I gotta sneeze. It's like, and I'm not one of those ones that sneeze all humble, like, man, I'm those loud sneezers. It's like, man, it's like, I mean, everything off the shelf just came off. He was contagious. And he said, if God had enough grace on me, you ain't getting it. This grace must be contagious.
Come on.
And that's why the people he told showed up to meet Jesus on the other side. Because grace is contagious as well. It is contagious, it is contagious, it is contagious. If God had grace on your soul, you need to have grace as well. This Pharisee, he did everything it took to get to Jesus. What are you willing to do?